Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is ATHIRAH binti Muhammad Noor. My matrix number is 818272. I'm going to present introduction. Analysis play a crucial role in assessing the financial health and performance of companies, enabling stakeholders to make informed decisions. In this assignment, we will conduct a comparative ratio analysis of two prominent companies in the energy sector, which is PETRONAS and BHP. Examining their financial ratio, we aim to gain insights into their liquidity ratio, profitability ratio, activity ratio, and leverage ratio. By the end of this assignment, we will explore the comment to each ratio performance and give the recommendation of companies' overall performance.
Hi and Assalamualaikum to everyone. My name is Natasya binti Hussinn. My matric number is A21A2780. Business nature of PETRONAS Gas BERHAD. PETRONAS, or otherwise known as Petroleum National BERHAD, is a Malaysian oil and gas company. This company was established in 1974. The company fully owned by the Malaysian government. PETRONAS managed to rank among the largest companies in the world. This company is involved in upstream activities, including the exploration and production of oil and gas reserves. This company explores and develops oil and gas fields domestically and abroad through its subsidiaries. PETRONAS operates in downstream activities, which involve the refining of crude oil into various petroleum products. PETRONAS also participates in distributing and marketing petroleum and petrochemical products at reasonable price. For logo, emerald green color has been chosen by the PETRONAS company to be used as a logo to signify the sea where oil and gas have been obtained. Next, business nature of BHPETROL. BHPETROL was established on 14 February 2006. This company, also better known as Boasted Petroleum Marketing Center BERHAD. This company grows stronger in the retail chain with 400 retail service stations located throughout Peninsular Malaysia. It provides various services such as station locator, fuel, mart, car and service labs and gas. BHPETROL owns company convenience store called BHPETROL Mart. These stores offer a range of products and services such as snacks, beverage, basic groceries, automotive accessories, and other convenience items. BHPETROL also implemented a loyalty program to reward customers, such as reward, discount, promotion. In addition, this company involved in the distribution of LPG to household and commercial premises.
Hello everyone, my name is KUMARESAN and my matric number is A21A359. Today I'm here to present about the ratio analysis for PETRONAS Gas BERHAD. And here is a horizontal ratio analysis for PETRONAS Gas BERHAD. The current ratio is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay short-term obligation or those due within 1 year. The current ratio for year 2020 is 0.73 times and 0.81 times for the two following years. The current ratio for PETRONAS Gas BERHAD was at the lowest level in 2020 and increased in 2021 and then continued to remain at the same figure in 2022. Therefore, the highest ratio indicates that the firm's liquidity is increasing, whereas the lowest ratio indicates that the firm liquidity is decreasing. And the next ratio is about quick ratio. The quick ratio is a type of liquidity ratio. This ratio measures a company's ability to collect and convert its receivables into cash on time, and that is, its inventory can be sold without long days. PETRONAS Gas BERHAD shows an increase in the quick ratio, which is 0.72 times and 0.80 times in the 3 years we choose as the measurement period. So, PETRONAS Gas BERHAD's ability to use its current asset to quickly repay its current liability is increasing. The next ratio is about net working capital. In year 2020, the net working capital ratio was recorded a negative value. We can see that this company is unable to cover its obligation in short term. The next category of ratio analysis is profitability ratio. Gross profit margin. The gross profit margin shows the extent to which the firm's management control its expenses to generate profit. For PETRONAS, the gross profit margin from 2020 to 2021 shows an increase in the company's gross profit margin from 47.49% to 48.15%, but in the following years shows a decrease. Therefore, the highest ratio in 2020 shows that the firm is able to manage its expenses to make a profit, while the lowest in 2022 indicates that the firm's ability to manage expenses to make profit has decreased. Operating profit margin is a profitability or performance ratio, a measure of how much profit is generated from each dollar of sales after deducting the cost of goods sold and operating expenses. PETRONAS gas BERHAD decreased from 47.75% in 2020 to 47.08% in 2021, which is a decrease of 0.67%. The declining continues in the next year, which is 2020, when the operating profit margin is 37.66%. Therefore, we can conclude that the profit generated from the sale decreased from 2020 to year 2022. Net profit margin is a financial ratio used to calculate the percentage of profit of a firm earns from its total revenue. PETRONAS gas BERHAD's net profit margin decreased from 2020 to 2022 with a net profit margin of 35.94%, 35.23% and 26.70% respectively. This showed that the firms experienced a loss in sale with expenses that exceed in the profit of margin. Return on assets is a ratio that measures a company's profitability compared to its total assets. There was a slight decrease with a percentage of 10.96% in 2020, decreased to 10.37% in 2021, and continued to decrease to 8.36% in 2022. This shows that the company's ability to make less money is the following year. And the return on equity ratio measures the accounting return on common stock shareholders' equity of the investment. PETRONAS gas BERHAD return on equity is 15.49% in year 2020, 14.92% in year 2021, and 1.23% in year 2022. The ratio decreased by 0.57% compared to 2020, and in year 2022, it decreased sharply by 1. So the next ratio analysis about activity ratio. The inventory turnover ratio is also known as the stock in turnover ratio. This is an efficiency ratio that measures a company's efficiency in controlling or managing inventory. For the years 2020 to year 2021, it's reduced by 0.8 times to 0.06 times, while the increase occurs from 2021 to 2022 with a ratio of 0.06% to 0.07%. The decrease in PETRONAS gas BERHAD's inventory turnover ratio has represented the company's inefficiency in managing its inventory throughout year 2020 and 2021. In the following year, the company improved its management business inventory. Account receivable turnover ratio is also known as the accounts receivable turnover ratio. This ratio measures how efficiently a company collects accounts receivable or revenue. The ratio decreased from 7.79 times in 2020 to 6.55 times in 2021, and further decrease in 2022, which is 6.35 times. The total asset turnover ratio measures the efficiency of a firm's investment in total assets to generate sales. Total asset turnover of PETRONAS gas BERHAD decreased from year 2020 to 2021, which is 0.30 times and 0.29 times respectively. But there is an increase in year 2022, which is increased by 0.03 times for the ratio of 0.32 times. The fixed asset turnover ratio measures a company's efficiency in using its fixed assets to generate sales such as property, plant, and equipment. PETRONAS gas BERHAD fixed asset turnover ratio has increased constantly, with the ratio of being 0.42 times, 0.43 times, and 0.46 times for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022. So, we can analyze that the PETRONAS gas BERHAD company is efficient in the regular use of assets for the purpose of generating the company's sales. And the last analysis about leverage ratio analysis. The The debt ratio measures the proportion of firm's asset that are financed by loans or debt financing, and it is expressed as a decimal or percentage. PETRONAS gas BERHAD increased in stability to 17.88% in year 2020, 17.97% in year 2021, and 19.48% in year 2022. Therefore, it shows the debt ratio of the firms increased from year 2020 to year 2022 in a safe condition. The debt to equity ratio is a financial leverage ratio that is frequently calculated and looked at. It is considered as a gearing ratio. The debt to equity ratio of PETRONAS gas BERHAD shows an increase every year, which is 25.29%, 25.84%, and 28.60% for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is ATIQAH binti AZAM and my metric number is A21A2749. I will explain about the horizontal analysis of BHP BERHAD in 3 chosen years. The table shows 4 ratios involved in this analysis: liquidity ratio, profitability ratio, activity ratio, and leverage ratio. The liquidity ratio shows the current ratio, quick ratio, and net working capital, where the current ratio shows an increase from 2020 to 2022, which is 1.45 times up to 1.69 times. The quick ratio also shows an increase of 1.17 times in 2020, and in the last year it was 1.40 times. And net working capital showed a positive increase for all 3 years. BHP BERHAD has had a good profit for all 3 years, with a gross profit margin in 2020 of 0.08%, increasing to 0.09% in 2020. Net profit margin, on the other hand, is 0.02% for 2020 and 2021 and rise to 0.03%. The year 2020 shows that the return on equity is 0.02%, continuing to increase by 0.05%. As for the activity ratio, inventory turnover show a ratio of 0.056 times in 2020 and rose sharply with a ratio of 2.13 times in 2022. Total asset turnover and fixed asset turnover show a slow increase from 2020 to 2022. The leverage ratio involved 2 debts, which are the debt ratio and debt to equity ratio. In 2020, BHP BERHAD showed a debt ratio of 50.14%, and in 2022, as much as 48.76%. Debt to equity also decreased from 100.56% to 95.15% for 2020 to 2022. This shows that BHP BERHAD does not have a lot of debt and is in good financial health.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Natasya binti HUSSIN. Metric number is 81A3091. I will present about article analysis of PETRONAS gas BERHAD and BHP BERHAD in the year 2020. Liquidity ratio for PETRONAS gas BERHAD and BHP BERHAD. It shows that the current ratio of BHP BERHAD is better than the current ratio of PETRONAS gas BERHAD. It is because of the value BHP BERHAD higher than PETRONAS gas BERHAD. It shows that BHP BERHAD is better able to pay the short-term obligation better than PETRONAS gas BERHAD in the year 2020. The second part of liquidity ratio is net working capital. PETRONAS gas BERHAD is better than BHP BERHAD. It is because BHP BERHAD is better to meet its payment obligation. Part of liquidity ratio is the quick ratio. The quick ratio BHP BERHAD is better than PETRONAS gas BERHAD because BHP BERHAD is better able to pay the current liability. Profitability ratio for PETRONAS gas BERHAD and BHP BERHAD. First part of profitability ratio is the gross profit margin. The gross profit margin of PETRONAS gas BERHAD is better than BHP BERHAD. The revenue margin for PETRONAS gas BERHAD is 47.49%, while for BHP BERHAD it is 0.08%. For this higher gross profit in the current year, investors tend to pay more for PETRONAS gas BERHAD with higher gross profit compared to BHP BERHAD. Is the net profit margin. The net profit margin of PETRONAS gas BERHAD is better than BHP. The net profit margin PETRONAS gas BERHAD got 35.94%, while 0.02% for BHP BERHAD. It shows that the net profit margin of PETRONAS gas BERHAD is higher than BHP BERHAD. It also shows that PETRONAS gas BERHAD can generate profit and consider better spending increase than BHP BERHAD in 2020. Is the return on asset of PETRONAS gas BERHAD is better than BHP. The return on asset is an indicator of a company profitability relative to its total asset. Return on asset for PETRONAS gas BERHAD got 10.96% and 0.008% for BHP BERHAD. It shows that the PETRONAS gas BERHAD is more profitable on its total asset than BHP BERHAD. Last but not least is the return on equity. The return on equity of Petronas Gas Berhad is better than BHP Berhad. The return on equity ratio for Petronas Gas Berhad is 50.49%, while BHP Berhad gained to 0.02% in 2020. It shows that the Petronas Gas Berhad has a higher return on equity than BHP Berhad. Petronas Gas Berhad can generate a better return on shareholder equity than BHP Berhad.
For third ratio analysis, there were inventory turnover, account receivable turnover, total asset turnover and fixed asset turnover. In year 2020, Petronas Gas Berhad recorded 0.08 times compared to BHP Berhad, which is 0.56 times. For inventory turnover, for account receivable turnover, Petronas Gas Berhad recorded 7.79 times while BHP Berhad recorded 0.02 times. Petronas Berhad recorded 0.30 times, which is lower than BHP Berhad, which is 0.37 times for the total asset turnover. Fixed asset turnover for Petronas Gas Berhad is 0.42 times while BHP Berhad is 0.47 times, shows the lower value than Petronas Gas Berhad. The last ratio is about leverage ratio, which counts debt ratio and debt to equity. In year 2020, Petronas Gas Berhad recorded 17.88% while BHP Berhad recorded 50.14% for debt ratio. Debt to equity ratio for Petronas Gas Berhad was 25.29% and BHP Berhad 100.56%, which show a highest percentage.
Good day, I'm Rishni M. Sukumaran and my matrix number is A21832669. Based on the provided ratio analysis for Petronas Gas Berhad and BHP Berhad, here's a professional interpretation of the ratios. Petronas Gas Berhad, liquidity ratios. Current ratio. The company's current ratio shows a consistent trend around 0.8 times, indicating that its current assets are sufficient to cover its short-term liabilities. Quick ratio. Similar to the current ratio, the quick ratio remains relatively stable around 0.8 times. Net working capital. The negative net working capital values suggest that the company's current liabilities exceed its current assets. Second, profitability ratios. Gross profit margin. Petronas Gas Berhad's gross profit margin has shown a decreasing trend, declining from 47.49% in 2020 to 38.08% in 2022. Operating profit margin declined from 47.75 to 37.66. Net profit margin declined from 35.94% to 26.70%. Return on assets. The ROA has been decreasing, suggesting that the company's efficiency in generating profits from assets has decreased over time. Return on equity, ROE, declined from 15.49% to 1.23%. Third, activity ratios. Inventory turnover. The inventory turnover ratio indicates a relatively low turnover rate, implying that the company's inventory is not being sold or utilized efficiently. Account receivable turnover. The account receivable turnover ratio has been decreasing. Total assets turnover ratio has been remained relatively stable. The fixed assets turnover ratio has shown a slight increase. Leverage ratios. Debt ratio. The debt ratio has been gradually increasing, indicating that the company's level of debt is in relation to its total assets and has been increased. This suggests a higher financial risk. Debt to equity ratio. The debt to equity ratio has also increased, indicating a high reliance on debt financing compared to equity financing. BHP Berhad. Liquidity ratios. Current ratio. BHP Berhad has consistently maintained a current ratio above 1. Quick ratio. Similar to the current ratio, the quick ratio remains comfortably above 1. Net working capital. The positive net working capital values indicate that the company has sufficient current assets to cover its short-term liabilities. Profitability ratios. Gross profit margin. BHP Berhad's gross profit margin has remained relatively stable around 0.09%. Operating profit margin. The operating profit margin has shown significant improvement over the year. Net profit margin. Similarly, the net profit margin has also improved over time. Return on assets. The ROA has remained low and relatively stable. Return on equity, ROE. The ROE has remained low, indicating that the company's ability to generate returns for its shareholders is limited. Activity ratios. The inventory turnover ratio has shown an increasing trend. The account receivable turnover ratio has shown a slight improvement. Total assets turnover. The total assets turnover ratio has improved over time. The fixed assets turnover ratio has also shown an improvement. Leverage ratios. Debt ratio. The debt ratio has remained stable around 48 to 50%, suggesting a moderate level of debt in relation to total assets. Debt to equity ratio. The debt to equity ratio has also remained stable, indicating a balanced reliance on both debt and equity financing. Thank you.
We'll continue the last part, which is conclusion in bracket recommendation. First is, through this assignment, It is even the both Petronas and BHP possess strong financial position and demonstrate sound performance in various aspects. Based on the ratio analysis of Petronas and BHP, the following recommendations are given. The first recommendation is strengthen liquidity management. Both Petronas and BHP demonstrate solid liquidity ratio. It is recommended for them to continue focusing on effective cash flow management. This can include optimizing working capital, managing receivable and payables efficiently, and maintaining adequate cash reserve and meet short-term obligations. The second recommendation is enhance profitability. Petronas can further explore strategies to improve its profitability ratio, such as optimizing cost structure, exploring new revenue stream, or implementing initiatives to increase operational efficiency. On the other hand, BHP with its strong profitability ratio should aim to sustain and enhance its profitability through effective cost management and optimizing revenue generation. The third recommendation is emphasize sustainable practice. Integrating environmentally friendly practice, promoting ethical conduct, and enhancing the community development initiative. They can enhance their reputation, attract socially conscious investors, and contribute positively to society. Last is continuously evaluate competitive landscape. Both Petronas and BHP should regularly assess their competitive positioning within the energy sector. This involves benchmarking their financial performance against industry peers, monitoring market trends, and identifying emerging opportunities. That's all for me. Thank you.